So, Johnny, today we're still being sponsored by Edmunds Realty. It's a lucky streak.
It is. It's awesome.
Yeah. And this episode is sponsored by Edmunds Realty, a local family-owned business serving the entire Puget Sound for over 30 years. And again, that's a long time, man. I was 13 when they started.
Yeah. As I said last time, I was 5.
That's crazy. Honest people offering full real estate services, whether you're selling or buying or, trying to get that dream home, or maybe you need to have somebody manage the rentals you own, or you're looking for a house to rent. These guys can help you do all of that.
Yeah, they can.
And, don't forget, they still offer free notary, free fax services. And that's a pretty cool thing because, it might not cost you an arm and a leg to go get your notary, but it's nice to know that you can just go and get it done and not even have to think about it.
Right. It's covered. You're good.
Yeah, you're covered. It's good. That's exactly right. So call them today at 425-921-2200 or email them directly at office@edmundsrealty.net or visit their website at edmundsrealty.net where you can do searches for homes in your area for both rent and to sell and to buy. Edmunds Realty, where serving you comes first.
Hit that music. Boop.
Oh, don't do the boop.
This is Spoiler Country, a podcast about comics, movies, whatever. But mostly comics. Enjoy.
Previously on Spoiler Country.
You read the book?
I did. I read all 4 of them.
You read all 4 of them?
I did.
That should have been your guilty pleasure.
No, but I didn't like them. I didn't like it. I was like, ooh, Twilight.
Funny.
Oh, Edward.
But you read all 4.
Have you listened to the last episode yet?
Yeah, because you gave me This is why, because you gave me shit about when you say hit that music, it should start right away. And then it hits that music, and there's like more than half a second to a second pause before you go boop, then the music starts. And so all I hear in my head is you saying, when you say hit that music should start. And it drives me insane.
I did that on purpose.
I know.
You know that, right? I left that pause there on purpose.
Yeah. Okay, welcome back to Spoiler Country. I'm Kenric Regan. That's Johnny Horsley. And today on our show, it's all about first appearances.
What makes a first appearance? It's always interesting to me. For me, it's been like the number one debate I had with people over comics of what makes a first appearance and why one issue is worth more than the other issue when one is technically a first appearance, the other one is a second appearance. It's very confusing.
It is confusing because we did a little bit of research, not a lot, admittedly not a lot, but we did do a little
research for a show. What the hell?
I know.
We don't do that. We're supposed to be on the fly, on the cuff, man.
That's right. There's no show notes here. What are you talking about? Research? No, but we did. We did look up 4 characters that are pretty well known.
That have debatable first appearances.
That has debatable first appearances. And it's, what does constitute a first appearance? It's a weird thing. And it's like you said, that is the number one argument, I think, with people is when it comes for anybody who collects or is an avid reader of comic books that feels that they know or have more of a knowledge of the comic book genre than they probably should. Yeah. This can get the goat. And this is the one thing that pisses me off the most is people that get this big ego about knowing things about comic books. It's like, really?
Right.
This is where you're going to put your flag at?
Well, I know about their first, second, and third appearances. What do you know?
Yeah, exactly. Ugh. It's like, I've walked out of comic book stores that the person behind the counter had that exact mentality. It's like, oh my God, I can't even talk to you.
It's like double birds to you, man. I'll go somewhere else.
Double birds to you. So the first one that we want to talk about is Wolverine.
Arguably one of the biggest characters created in the last, 30, 35 years or so. Actually, 40 years now, I guess, right?
Who would be bigger? Is there anybody bigger that was been created post Wolverine?
No,
legitimately?
I don't think so.
Harley Quinn's getting up there.
Yeah.
But she's got about 20 more years to go.
Well, he's been popular for so long.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, the longevity of his popularity has been impressive.
People are like, oh, I'm so tired of Wolverine, but they still go see his movies. They still read his comic books.
Dude, Logan was so good. Oh,
dude, Logan was amazing.
Yeah, it was so good. I've watched that so many times, and I want to see the black and white version.
Oh, the noir version. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have that. I have that version.
Did they
I
really?
haven't watched it yet though.
Oh, they released it on DVD?
It's on. If you buy it on like, it's. I think so, but I have it on Vudu, which comes with the regular version and the black and white version.
Oh man, I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it.
I'm gonna tell you this little story quick.
Yeah.
When I saw Logan in theaters, I went with my wife. My work, right, the place I actually work at, did a company event for my department.
Yeah.
Where we went to the iPix Theater in Redmond.
Nice.
And had a completely catered event to go see Logan. So
Yeah,
we had all the food we wanted, all the drinks we wanted. So I saw Logan very intoxicated.
Well, the iPix Theater that's an event, man. That's a really cool place
Yeah.
to go see it in
It's
Redmond,
so
Washington.
nice, man.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
have all comfy chairs that kick out like you're sitting in your home in your lazy boy. And then
You have drinks brought to you.
drinks brought to you. And it's not like they only do it, when you put like there's other theaters that do this, but you have to put your menu up and they see it and they come. These guys just come and it's like an actual waiter comes to you.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, so I mean, and you know me, I'm not a big drinker. We talked about it before, but
Yeah.
I decided I was gonna have if my boss and my boss's boss were there, and I was like, we'll loosen up, a little bit. And I think I had 3 or 4 Long Islands.
This is the perfect time to make an ass of myself.
Well, I don't usually make an ass of myself when I drink. I usually just kind of get very talkative.
Right.
I mean, I know I talk a lot on the show, but in real life, I don't talk.
Well, there you go.
But so yeah, I mean, I had like 3 or 4 Long Islands, and I felt good.
Ooh, that's a lot, man. 3 or 4
know.
Long Islands is a lot of alcohol,
Man. My buddy at work,
especially there because they make them stiffy.
they do. My buddy at work went and saw it with us. He was there too, obviously, and he had too many drinks. Unfortunately, I talked him into getting one more drink before the movie started.
Oh, you're such an asshole. You're that guy. One more, man. Come on.
Well, he was like, well, I'm just gonna have a soda now. I'm like, dude, it's free, man. Get what you want. It's like, all right, cool. I mean, it wasn't hard to talk him into it. It was
It's
like
free.
so. He had that one drink, and then he ended up passing out like 10 minutes into the movie.
Oh, dude,
He slept through the whole thing.
that happened to me there. So I met my buddy Mike at a place called Matt's in Redmond Town Center for lunch.
Yeah.
Right. And we ended up pounding some beers at lunch. And I went back to work and my manager's like, just starts laughing. I'm like, I'm going to go. She's like, yeah, you should go. Cause I mean, it was a slow time. It wasn't a big deal. So I call up Mike. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm leaving work. He's like, oh, me too, man. It was too many beers. He goes, but we're going to the Dirty Bucket, which is a brewery in Woodinville, Washington. Right. And so we meet there and he brings his kids and his wife and me and him start pounding more beers. I am tossed. Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're taking the kids to see Lego Batman at iPic. He goes, I already bought you a ticket. You're going. And I was like, all right. So she drives us to
Batman
the theater.
drunk.
Oh yeah, dude. We get to the theater, right? I order dinner. I order a cocktail, right? I drink my cocktail. I pass out, completely pass out. I wake up 10 minutes left in the movie and the girl's like, hey, you got to pay for your bill. And I give her a thing. I didn't even eat my food. My dinner that I had ordered was sitting in front of me the whole time. And I had 10 minutes to eat it. It was all cold and everything because I totally passed out during Lego Batman.
So how'd you like the movie?
Yeah.
It was a bit of a snooze fest, huh?
It was a bit of a snooze fest. I mean, I saw it later and it was pretty
It's
funny.
funny.
I didn't like it as much as everybody else really liked it. I was like, it's kind of boring.
You had to be a fan of ridiculousness, Batman, for to like that movie. I enjoyed it for what it was.
I am a fan of ridiculousness.
It's a little over the top.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was just, I don't know. It's just like watching the video game.
Yeah.
I like the Lego movie much better. Let's put it that way.
I love the Lego movie. I like Lego Batman. It felt like they tried to cram a ton of stuff into that movie.
I just think the medium that they use, I mean, because it's all animation, but it's just, I don't know, man.
Lego style.
That's just the Lego style. After a while, it gets to me. It's just like, I can't, I feel like I'm watching Ella watch YouTube Kids.
Right. Like
and just after a while,
just make a cartoon out of it. Just make a cartoon, a regular cartoon.
Yeah, I would have been fine with just a regular cartoon, and then they look like Legos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the whole stop thing, and it just gets to my eyesights after a while, and I'm just like, nah, I'm done.
I miss 2D animated cartoons, man. In movies.
Me too, man. Me too. I mean, some of the stuff is amazing nowadays. I get it. But
it is amazing. It's amazing what they can do with 3D animation and with CGI and stuff.
Yeah, but just because you can doesn't mean you have to all the time.
Well, look at Disney. They put out Princess and the Frog, several years ago now, which is 2D
Yeah.
animated. I mean, it was animated with computers, but it was 2D animation style, and it was amazing. It was the art, and the style, and it was awesome. And then they went right back to making 3D movies, or not 3D, but like CGI movies and stuff. Which they still
but at
look
least
amazing.
they'll still flatten them out from time to time, which is cool. I kind of miss the whole hand drawn, the whole hand drawn era of movies.
Me too, because there's something about it that just
Don Bluth.
Tom Bluth is amazing, man.
Yeah, man. You ever play that game Space Ace or Dragon's Lair?
Oh hell yeah, I played Dragon's Lair all the time on my Amiga 1000 when I was a kid.
Yeah, I had it on my Amiga 500. Yep, it's good
Mine was
stuff.
500 better.
Yours actually came out before mine. Yours was a little less powerful.
Mine was free.
So was mine. I'm gonna one up you all night.
Fuck you then. God.
It's good stuff, man. Hey, so let's go back
Wolverine.
to our show topic.
Wolverine.
So Wolverine is actually in 180 on the last page.
Yeah, and it's not like he's like
It's just a small panel, right?
No, it's a full page. It's the full page.
Like a full splash page?
Yeah, let me look up that. I'm like 99% sure it's a full splash page in the back of 180. So I'm pretty sure it's the last page. Yeah, it's a full last page.
Yeah. So why is 181 considered his first appearance?
Because he's on it's his first cover appearance.
Yeah, but
it's not the full last page. So there's a last page of 180. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels, but the panel with Wolverine takes up probably not a little over half, maybe half the page of Wolverine saying, it's the Wolverine.
I see it. Yeah, I see it. Yep. Yeah, that's crazy.
That should be his first appearance.
And that book, like you can find that book here listed on comicswatcher.com. They have a CGC 9.4 for $590. Go find a 181 9.4.
You
and
won't.
how much you're going to spend on it? $3,000?
Yeah, if you're lucky. But that first appearance on 181, it's like it has that classic cover on it. It's his first cover appearance. He's in the whole issue, but
totally legitimate. I get it. But it's not his first appearance.
Right. And what's great about this conversation here is we're going to have the same conversation in reverse in 2 more characters, which is insane. Because Wolverine gets a first appearance in an issue where he's on the cover, but not the issue he's in the on the back page of. And he actually, because people will say, on some people they say, it's his first ever time printed in comics. So you could talk about other characters, but for Wolverine, he was actually printed in a Marvel comic book 3 months earlier in a quarter-page ad for issue 180. Issue 181.
I mean, I get the ad thing. I kind of get. You can't. I mean, they put him in the ad because the marketing people said, "Oh, he's cool looking. Stick him on there."
No, I know. It's funny because like you'll have.
But he even has dialogue in 180.
Right.
He has freaking dialogue.
A lot of dialogue too.
Yeah. So how can you not say that 180 is not his first appearance?
Right. And to flip back to the ad thing, where you say, "Oh no, the ad doesn't count," but yet. Spawn's first appearance is an ad or a pinup in Malibu Sun number 13. And that's worth that book's worth like $150 compared to Spawn 1, which is worth like, a nickel. What I guess it's worth like $10, but there's a million of them.
I think Spawn number 1 is cheaper in Washington State than almost anywhere else.
It's still a $10, $20 book for some reason. They printed 1.7 million
Yeah, but
copies.
in Washington State, but I bet you if you go down to like Arizona or you go to New York or you go to Florida, I bet you it sells for more in your local comic book store.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, maybe not so much anymore with eBay,
Yeah.
Because because it was released really here, right? And then all of the backlog that they had of copies that didn't sell all ended up here. And then McFarlane actually released all the ones here in Washington State.
Oh, did he?
Russ has a whole, you know what? We're going to have Russ on at some point here in the near future. We're actually going to do a show from his comic book store.
Yeah.
And we'll have him say the whole story of Spawn number 1. He knows it personally, and it's a really cool story.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, characters like Spawn's first appearance is in a pinup in a comic book that predates the first appearance in an actual story, and that's kind of his first appearance. And actually, technically, some people consider for Spawn, there's an ad for Spawn in some other magazine that came out a month before that Malibu Sun comic, which some people call that the first appearance, and that's worth a ton of money too. I feel like some people, whatever book first becomes hot for that character becomes their first appearance as far as value wise.
Which is crap.
Yeah, it should be consistent across the board.
To me, look, it should be consistent. There's some, and actually, you know what? Let's get through these 4, and then let's you and I come up with the rules of a first appearance.
The definitive rules that everybody has to live by.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't like it, too bad.
Exactly.
So next on the list is Domino. This one's actually being fought over right now. I actually had a guy on eBay buy one of these books from me and then refused to pay for it, saying that I was lying in my description because right, I'll get to that. So Domino first appears in New Mutants 98 with Deadpool on the cover,
which I contend is really her actual first appearance.
But however, it's her first appearance in look form only because it's actually the character Copycat posing as her. So
yeah, but that was later on, though. They didn't have that storyline in their head when they created her and put her on there and introduced that character. That was years down the road.
Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure it's part of that storyline. And it was in the issue 98, 99. It's part of the storyline.
No, dude, she's just a mercenary. She's nothing. She's not even part of the story, really. Even in Deadpool is a crappy character in that whole story. Read it.
No, Deadpool, that book, that issue is not very good.
Yeah, read it. I honestly think... I mean, I could be wrong, okay? But if we want to look it up, we can look it up. But I really think that the whole concept of the copycat thing was years later.
Are you
looking it up?
Yeah, I don't think it was.
That's actually a really good thing because to me, if it is years later, the whole argument comes moot, right?
Yeah, if it was years later. Because, here's the thing, too, is... Go back to Domino real quick, is because she technically is in that issue, but then on X-Force number 8, the character Domino is on the cover, and she appears in the story in a flashback story. And then on X-Force 11, she's on the cover and in the story in current time. And the one the guy argued with me about on eBay was I sold X-Force 8 being, first appearance of Domino outside of the Copycat appearance. And he's like, no, it's in a flashback. That's not a first appearance. That's a flashback. That doesn't count. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean it doesn't count? She's still in the goddamn story. What are you insane? I mean, X-Force 11 shouldn't be anything. It should be her first, maybe her first modern timeline story. But I mean, whatever. She's in X-Force 8 in a flashback, and if we can find out where New Mutants 98, whether that was changed later or not, But
let's put it like Wikipedia, so we know it has to be right.
Right.
It says as Domino in the New Mutants 98, as a copycat was an X-Force number 19.
Right. Yeah. She appeared as they didn't. I think it was in X-Force 19 that they revealed that.
Yeah, I don't think they really had a storyline for her when they did New Mutants 98.
That was 2 years later. It was 2 years later.
Yeah, it was 2 years later, man. That's her first appearance. New Mutants 98 is her first appearance.
Right.
Because I just think any kind of thing called, doing a copycat thing and all that kind of stuff. Because we can bring up, was it next number, is it number 3?
NYX3?
Yeah.
With X23.
X23. And then their whole thing where people are like, oh, but her first appearance is as a test tube baby when whatever.
Over in 80, they take blood from Wolverine and they show a panel with a test tube that says X23 of his blood on it. Yeah. That's what they're saying.
Yeah. That's kind of a cool thing, but at the same time, do you count that as a first appearance?
Well, what's ridiculous is like people will clout that. You look on eBay and that book actually sells for more money now than it did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But the creators of X23 basically say that had nothing to do with it.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So, I mean, can we say that Domino's first appearance is 98? Can we put that to bed or is the argument going to be ranging far and wide? I mean, between you and I, it's like whatever, right? I mean, it's a character that we don't even care about.
Domino's, there was a Domino's series in like 2004-ish that was really good. But that's the only time.
What's her name from? Oh, what was her name? What's her name?
I don't know. It was a comic book. I don't know who did it.
Oh, a comic book. I'm thinking of there's a TV show called Domino. I don't think that
was about Domino though. this character.
No, I don't think so. Because I was going to be shocked. I'm like, oh my god, was it really about Domino, the comic book character?
But there's a comic
Keira Knightley. That's who it was.
Oh, there's a comic book on 2004-ish that was really good with her in it. I liked a lot. And it had, I believe Deadpool showed up in it a couple of times, but not very much.
Oh.
But as far as Domino goes, it's like, I'm not sure. So I'm okay with the copycat thing being her, that being Copycat 98 because
right.
That is whatever. But if we accept 98 as being a copycat, her first appearance is in X-Force 8. X-Force 11 is nothing. Right.
X-Force 11 or 19?
11 for Domino, not for Copycat. So Because X-Force 8, she's on the cover and she's in the flashback. It's in the story in a flashback. X-Force 11, she's on the cover in the story, but people are saying X-Force 8 doesn't count because the flashback doesn't count as a first appearance. I'm like, motherfucker, she's on the cover and in the story. So
what happened?
I just said fuck you and gave him his money back and blocked him from bidding on my stuff again.
There you go.
I'm like, I'm not going to deal with some idiot it's going to try and pull this shit on me. I'm sorry.
Right.
But I mean,
I
whatever.
just listen to this podcast and he's like, oh, you motherfucker.
If you're listening, you're still an asshole. But
that's the thing. When they don't set, I hate to say this, right? When the industry doesn't have any type of rules of engagement, I should say, then this is the kind of stuff that happens, right? Now you're having to deal with somebody that has a different mentality of what means a first appearance.
Right. Well,
to me, there's no contest about it. It's New Mutants 98 or bust. Right. Everything else is storyline.
Well, and to be fair, it's not up to the companies to decide what the collectors determine to be worth money, right? That's two sides of the equation. Now, you can arguably say that you can argue both sides. You can arguably say that Fabian Niciez, the guy who Niciez, whatever his name is, Fabian, the creator of Deadpool and the creator of Domino and the creator of Copycat, when he created Domino and Copycat, he had the idea to make her Copycat to mess with things because he was already working on the first arc or two of X-Force when 98 came out. It can easily be argued that this idea of Domino being Copycat in 98 was his plan the whole time. Very easy because...
Has anybody asked him?
I mean, probably. You probably can find it online, but just knowing his writing style from what I have read about him before and talking to him at Emerald City last year, he does plan things out like that. Yeah. So I can easily see that 98 is actually Copycat. But then again, does that really matter? Because it's still...
They introduced her as Domino. Yeah. A character Domino has been associated with it ever since.
Right.
It's the first time you see her character as a character.
The cover says introducing Domino. Now I can see people saying New Mutants 98, the first appearance of Domino, Domino or Copycat as Domino or whatever. New Mutant or X-Force 8, first appearance of Domino, actual character, or some kind of subline to it that way. Because when I think first appearance, I think the first time you're introduced to the character in a comic.
Yeah.
Whether it be a clone or a copycat, it's obviously
still the same. It's still the character,
right? And in my opinion, obviously 98, New Mutants 98 is going to be worth way more money because of Deadpool. But let's remove Deadpool from that comic book for a second, right? Let's say it's just Domino in that appearance and just Domino in number 8. Right. I would say, given that, if we assume that Copycat, we accept Copycat as Domino in 98, X-Force 8 should be the more valuable book because the first appearance of Domino as herself, but the first appearance of Domino should be considered 98.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't agree it should be more valuable. I think the first time that they grace the pages and the way they look and they're introduced with a name, then that should be their first appearance, and that one should always be worth more, unless it's some kind of drastic storyline that changes everything.
But the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of people associate the character of Domino with the actual person of Domino, not a copycat posing as Domino. You see what I'm saying there?
No, I get what you're saying, but I just think it's just so hokey. To me, is if you introduce a character, be it clone or not or whatever, if you tell me this is Domino, this is the way she looks, and she has dialogue, done. That's her intro. That's it. That's her first appearance. Now, whether you decide later on, or even if you had it planned in your head, and 2 years later you said, oh, that was a copycat, this is the real Domino, well, too bad.
What about, okay, what if you reverse it? What if a character like Katana first shows up in a book disguised as an old lady? And then later on, in the next issue, you reveal that old lady that was helping you out ended up being Katana. What do you consider
But I said, when you show her for what her appearance is to be and her name, then that includes the introduction. Now, if you trick people and you show her as an old lady, that's different. That's not what I said. I said that you have her.
I know what you said. I'm just trying to get to a point here. So you're saying that the look and the name of a character is more important than the ideals and the actual character of what they would do, or that character itself being present in a book.
Because the morals and the ideals of the character change over time, especially if you have one writer that's working on it. That can change over time. So if he decided he wanted to change it, then that's one thing. Let me ask you this: like, would you consider, say, Action Comics #1 never showed Superman; it only showed Clark Kent as the reporter? And then in Action Comics number 2, he takes off his suit and shows the costume and shows his powers and is introduced as Superman in number 2, which would be Superman's first appearance.
So you'd have two things there. You'd have the first appearance of Clark Kent in issue 1 and the first appearance of Superman in issue 2.
Yeah, exactly.
But the difference is those are two.
But
one's a secret identity. One's his.
Right, and one's a secret identity of a katana as an old lady, and one is the actual katana.
But it wasn't a secret identity. It was just her undercover. It's a little different. It's like she wasn't like...
That's the definition of a secret identity. She's undercover.
It's not. A secret identity.
She keep her identity secret so she can go undercover.
So you're saying every time, like, it's a secret identity is an identity you keep, like your civilian persona versus your super persona. When you go undercover, like wear a costume, like it's not your secret identity every time you put on like a mask.
It's a limited time secret identity, but it's still a secret.
You're stretching that definition quite a bit there, dude.
I don't think so, dude.
You are.
No,
secret identity is an identity you keep secret, not a.
That's not stretching it.
Okay.
Well, what do you mean? Okay. Are you keeping your identity secret when you're undercover? Does she wear a costume to keep who she was a secret?
Yes.
Well, there you go.
But
then
you're choosing.
I'm not saying, dude.
You're
over
choosing
time,
your words to make it to where I have to say yes to what you're saying.
No, I'm not. No, I'm choosing my words to validate my point.
No,
because you're telling me I'm stretching it. I'm not stretching it.
You are stretching it because a secret identity, as defined in no, hold on. Listen to me.
I am listening. It's just funny because the argument that this is. I love this. Just go.
You can change. You can define secret identity the way you want to. There, but what a secret identity is in a comic book is the identity of a superhero outside of their superhero form. So Batman to Bruce Wayne, Peter Parker to Spider-Man, their civilian identity is their secret identity. Putting on a mask going undercover does not count as a secret identity. That's a different thing. That's going undercover, putting on a mask or a persona for one specific instance. It's not
like when Batman
dresses up as Joe Matchstick or whatever the fuck his name is. His secret identity is not Joe Matchstick. I can't remember the guy's name. But he has this mob boss persona that he puts on to get information. That's not his secret identity. That's a character he plays to get information for Batman. It's not a secondary secret identity he has.
Okay,
see what I'm saying? There's a difference in the two.
I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't mean that I'm wrong in my thought process.
No, your thought process makes sense. I'm just saying in the grand scheme of comics,
you're asking me if she's, whether you want to call it undercover or secret identity or not, you're asking me that if she's undercover and then she goes in and like however many comics later or whatever issue later, she reveals to be Katana in undercover and then she takes everything off and that's what you see, then that's her first appearance. When you see her as her. And you see, and her name and everything is all conjoined into one thing. That's her first appearance. That's to me what I think. And I still contend, and we can agree to disagree. It's not a big deal, right? But I still contend that if you're undercover, that's a form of secret identity. Whether it is your secret identity, because Bruce Wayne is not Batman's secret identity. Bruce Wayne is his identity. He is Bruce Wayne. The only one that has an actual secret, well, not the only one, but Superman's secret identity is Clark Kent because that is him putting on a mask to be somebody who he is not. So when he goes undercover, to me, that is making a secret to keep who he is secret. Like when he goes undercover as Joe Match or whatever that is for Batman, he's keeping it secret that he's Batman. And he's keeping it secret that he's Bruce Wayne. So to me, that is a secret identity. Now, how many times has he used that undercover? If he's used it more than once, then you could definitely say it's a secret identity because it's something he keeps going back to. That's how I think of it. Now, we can agree to disagree. It's irrelevant because the point is if they're introduced using something else to show their identity or show their physical makeup. Let's put it this way. If they're using something else to show their physical makeup, does it count if they're introduced as Katana, but she's dressed as an old lady and she doesn't look anything like Katana? Is that her first appearance, or is it when she takes the costume off, or I say costume and it puts on her costume, when she takes off when she takes off her undercover outfit, right? And then shows herself to be herself. To me, that is her first appearance. I don't think you can count that. Just like Clark Kent showing his secret identity in Action Comics #1 in a theoretical argument, right? Never shows Superman at all through that. And then Action Comics number 2, he shows himself as Superman. Then, just like you said, that's Superman's first appearance. And to me, that's the exact same thing. It might not be exact as the amount of times he portrays himself as Clark Kent compared to Katana comparing herself or portrays herself as an old lady, or Batman as Joe Match, or whatever the character that or the secret I don't even want to say secret identity because I want to set you up. But to me, it's what it is. It's all hiding who you really are. Let's put it that way. To me, if you're hiding who you really are, and that's your first appearance, is that you're hiding, then I don't think that should count. Because you don't see, I couldn't see if all I saw in Detective Comics number 27 was Batman not doing Batman things. I think there's a caveat to this though, because if I think of like the Netflix series for Daredevil did a great job on him just wearing the bandana over his eyes and wearing just basically all black and then going out and fighting. But he's acting and doing the things Daredevil does. And it's Matt Murdock being Daredevil, just not in the correct costume yet. You know what I mean? If I'm reading Action Comics number 1 and Clark Kent is doing reporting on stuff and not doing anything heroic in a Superman form, like using his super strength, as soon as he uses his super strength to me and performing an action of Superman, then that to me becomes Superman.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a definition here, right? There's a definition change here that we had to talk about to kind of clarify this. So let's go to a character that actually has a first appearance as somebody, and then later on has a first appearance as a character. Let's look at Jason Todd, right? Yeah. Jason Todd first appeared in Batman 357 as Jason Todd. It wasn't until Batman 366 that he became a Robin. So it was a good, it was 9 issues later that he actually became Robin. His first appearance as Jason Todd is at 357, where he's introduced as the character of Jason Todd, this orphaned acrobats kid, stuff like that. And then 9 issues later, he appears as Robin in costume.
Yeah, that's a difficult one, right? Because you got that time period that has gone through.
So what you have is 2 things. You have the first appearance of Jason Todd in 357, and then you had the first appearance of Robin, Jason Todd as Robin in 366. So essentially Jason Todd has multiple first appearances, but for his main ones there, before he became Red Hood, 2 different issues there, which I believe you would have also with the Katana example. Because what you would have is the first appearance of the character Katana, whatever her real name is. I don't off the top of my head, in, Brave and Bold 200. And honestly, I don't remember if she reveals herself as Katana in that issue or if it is in the next issue. I can't remember the timeline of that one. But let's assume it's in the next issue for the sake of this argument. Then you'd have the first appearance of Katana, or whatever her name is, in issue 200, and the first appearance of Katana in costume in issue 201. Because you have 2, because ultimately it comes down to first appearances, and this is a conversation we probably should have had after the next 2 guys, but whatever. Right. Ultimately, first appearance comes into what is the milestone that makes it happen. Is it the character? Is it the secret identity of that character? Is it the character out of costume? Yeah. That's the milestone.
That's a good question.
So in costume, out of costume, incognito, whatever.
Yeah, that's a good question because, look at, you and I just had, we just got heated about this. At the end of the day, it's comic books, right? And we're talking about this stuff and we're like,
I love comics. I will fight all day about this.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying though, is look how passionate we got over our first appearance. And the definition of a
not real first appearance.
And well, just the definition of secret identity. Yeah. How you and I both think of it as 2. We're both correct in how we're describing it, but the way it's implemented is different. And that's where I think our differences are. And it's interesting to see what the difference. This is why I like not talking about our show subjects before we start, because if you and I started this, we would have never started. We would have that whole argument. Well, it's not really an argument. That whole discussion would have been fake.
Yeah.
But that was not fake because we were like, oh my God, no.
But I think
I love it.
If we step back for a second, right, from the arbitrary Superman one and the maybe Katana one and Jason Todd specific, go back to the ones we're talking about. I agree that the first appearance of a character should be the first book they appear in. Hulk 180 is Wolverine's first appearance. I hate the idea of a cameo first appearance and then a full first appearance. No.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Are they in the story? Yes, they're in the story. It's a first appearance. End of story.
He's in the story. He's in full costume and he has dialogue. How is that just a cameo?
Let's flip it real quick. The next one on our list is Darkseid from DC Comics. His quote unquote first appearance is in Jimmy Olsen 134, where he just appears on a TV. That's it. One panel on a TV. And his actual like full on first appearance where he's actually in the story is Forever People #1. Unlike Hulk, unlike Wolverine, Jimmy Olsen 134 is considered the first appearance and worth a ton more money than Forever People #1, which is, he's actually in the story. Now, I would argue that yes, Jimmy Olsen 134 is his first appearance. It is. Yeah, Jimmy Olsen 134 is worth like almost $200 now.
No. I mean, you're right. I mean, you can get it. Well, you can get it for like, there's one here on eBay for $63. Buy it now. And it looks pretty decent. And then Forever People #1, because I looked this up just the other day, and Forever People #1 is quite a bit more. No, you're right. It's not. They're about the same, except for the graded ones. Then Forever People goes up quite a bit more.
If they're the same, that's a recent because for a long time, 134.
Because there's a buy it now for $80, and it looks to be about the same condition. So it's like $10 more or $20 more.
That's probably new because of all the resurgence of Jack Kirby stuff and the New God stuff, and actually that probably directly correlates to Jack Kirby's 100th birthday and DCEU using the New Gods as the bad guys for their Steppenwolf and Darkseid.
Pumping out those New Gods more now.
So that Forever People #1 is probably going up specifically because of that. But for a long ass time, Forever People #1 was a $20, $30 book, and Jimmy Olsen 134 was hundreds of dollars for a long ass time.
Yeah, because to me, you don't say who he is. There's no introduction, and you just see his face, right? It's not like you see his full body, right?
Yeah.
I think you just see his face in that issue. And to me, it's like, you don't even say what it is or anything. It's like, it's almost like I don't know, did Jack Kirby draw that Jimmy Olsen?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So it's almost like he just kind of put him in there to put as something to put on the TV screen, not for any actual value of the story in any way. And so it's like, to me, it's the same as the Wolverine with X-23 in the test tube.
Right. Well, he says so in Jimmy Olsen 134. Darkseid actually talks, interacts with Morgan Edge. So essentially,
there's interaction.
There is. It's one panel. He's on a TV screen talking to Morgan Edge, and Morgan Edge says, "I await your orders, sire." And then Darkseid says, "Do nothing. Your plan has failed. I shall contact you soon." Yes, great Darkseid. I am your servant.
Oh, well, see, he's saying his name, and he has interaction, and he's on that. I would say that is his first appearance then.
I agree with that. I 100% think this is his first appearance because he has interaction. He's in the story. He's there.
Yep.
And
that hits all things. You see what he looks like. He has dialogue.
I mean, you see his head. You see his face. That's it. But
it doesn't matter. You still see him. So I would contend that would be a first appearance over Forever People #1.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's first appearance, and it should be considered that. That brings me to the next question. Here is we consider this a first appearance because we do because you see him and he has interaction. Is interaction necessary, or is it the first time you see them? So if a character is in a book, a panel,
you have to see them, and you have to know they have to be introduced in some way, right?
Because
there has to be something that says their name, because then they become a full character. Right? Appearance and naming. I mean, I guess it doesn't always have to be named, but in a comic book, I think you do have to have some type of naming convention that dictates who they are. Because once they're a character that you know of, right? Because what if they put it this way? What if Darkseid was never used in comic books ever again until this year, and some writer that got on with DC was going through, I'm going to bring back Jimmy Olsen, or I'm going to read some old Superman comic books and reads that book and says, wow, who's this Darkseid character? And goes through and then reintroduces him today. What would be his first appearance then? People will be going, it's Jimmy Olsen's 134.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy.
Well, here's a fun one for you. This is off the list here. I just thought of it and looked it up to make sure I was right. Yeah. Let's talk about Gwenpool. She's a newer character from Marvel. It's Gwen Stacy and Deadpool put together, so it's Gwenpool. Right. What's her first appearance?
She's a character. I think she's a character that's from reality that got sucked into that got sucked into comic books. Isn't that what it is?
I haven't read any of Gwenpool. I don't know.
I think that's what it is. I might be wrong. Somebody explain it to me.
What I do know is that from what everything I could tell when I looked it up before, her first quote unquote appearance was a commission that Frank Cho did on a sketch cover of a book that he drew this character named Gwenpool making a joke about crossing over characters.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, she appeared as a variant cover to Deadpool's Marvel Secret Wars #2.
Oh.
Yeah. She appeared on.
Well, they consider her first appearance Howard the Duck #1.
I know, that's her first appearance in story, but she's actually on the cover of Deadpool's Secret Wars #2, and from June of 2015. But her first appearance in a story is from November 2015 in Howard the Duck #1.
She's a popular character, man.
She's very popular. But like her first appearance, from what I can tell, is when Frank Cho drew her. I think in like April or March of 2015.
Yeah, but that's like a blank cover, and somebody asked him to do it, right?
No, I know, but it's interesting because she showed up there before she was even a character.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder how much that book is worth.
The one Frank Cho did?
Yeah.
I mean, his commissions are not cheap. So it's Frank Cho. I mean, say what you want about the man, about his people have lots of different views about him, but he's an amazing artist.
Wait, what do people have different views about him?
Oh, people call him a misogynist and a sexist because all he draws is like voluptuous women. But I don't really see him that way, because if you actually read the shit he talks about and how he talks about things,
yeah,
like he's not that way. I will defend him to the end of the day, because he's a very nice man, and he's an amazing artist. And he draws, voluptuous women. He draws women that he likes, and he constantly makes fun of people who are like, "Oh, outrage that she's," it's pretty funny.
Did he do Spider Woman? Is it Spider Woman?
The one with the butt in the air? No, he didn't do that.
Yeah.
But he drew a bunch of variant covers, not making fun of that issue, but making fun of people's outrage of that issue.
Yeah, people freaked out. They pulled it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it was a bit horrific, honestly. Like,
well, to me, it didn't look that good.
No, that's what I was saying. Like the art, like the body shape she was in, she would have been like broken.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah,
but I don't know. It's whatever. I mean, they pulled that one because people were outraged over the cover, but really, there's been a lot worse covers. Like the newest issue of Savage Dragon has Savage Dragon in like a 6-way orgy on the cover. The variant cover does. Like in a legit, you see everything orgy.
Oh, that's a little much for me.
Yeah, it's the NSFW cover, and Eric Larson hired an erotic artist to draw the cover.
Because NSFW cover?
Yeah. He's like, go all out, do it. Why not? Have fun with it, because it's his book, whatever. He's like, it's a variant cover. Let people let people get pissed. I don't care.
Right. Isn't that what's in the inside?
Yeah. Right. I mean, there's legit reasons to get pissed about things in comics or things in any entertainment industry, but
I think
something that's clearly to poke fun or just to have a good time with, as innocent.
Listen, for me, it's like this. I honestly feel when it comes to comic books, that the comic book store owners and the stores that display comic books, it's up to them to keep things as separate as they feel it should be. I contend that things that are meant for mature readers should not be by My Little Pony and even the standard issues of Spider-Man and all that, because those are made for preteens and kids. You know what I mean? And as long as you can keep a kid's innocence intact is a good thing. They're a much more rounded person as they grow, and they're a lot more fun to be around as a whole, and you don't get...
They're not so cynical.
They're not so cynical and everything else that goes along with that. And I think it's important. I think variant covers are different. I would hope that a comic book store owner wouldn't put the variant cover of Savage Dragon Orgy right on display for a 5-year-old to go walking in and wanting to get Skylander comic book.
Yeah. No, I doubt they would. I hope they wouldn't. But I totally get what you're saying. Like, I don't, unless a book is outright like on the cover being like, fuck women, they suck, they should be in the kitchen.
Right.
If it's done ironically and meant to make a point about that statement, that's one thing. But unless a book is outright sexist or outright racist or outright whatever, it's read the story to make sure you actually know what you're talking about before you go outrage on something.
That's exactly right. You got to read it. And
people outraged over the cover of Saga #1 because she's breastfeeding, which is so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, free the boobies is what I say, but whatever,
right. And yeah, I say not because I want to see boobies, but just because it's like, why? Who cares? They're feeding a child.
Right.
Like if I can walk around with my shirt off and I've got, I'm a big guy, I've got titties. Why can't if some girl wants to, let her do it? Who cares? I don't.
Well, hopefully you don't do that, because I don't want to see your titties.
I walk around shirtless all the time, man. I'm surprised you haven't seen my titties yet. I'll send you a picture.
No, that's okay. Please
No,
don't.
I'm getting a picture right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing when it comes to covers and variant covers and everything else. But when it comes to first appearances, things are highly convoluted, as we've completely shown here. I mean, once you talk about Doomsday, because I don't know the story of Doomsday like you do.
So Doomsday is actually the same as Wolverine. He's on the last page of Superman Man of Steel number 17, and he's on the cover in the story of Man of Steel 18. It's the exact same thing as Wolverine. And as far as what people consider and value-wise, people consider, actually,
18?
Let me rephrase this. It's the same as Wolverine, with the exception of the fact that while people still consider 17 to be a cameo first appearance and 18 to be a full first appearance, 17 is actually worth more than 18 as far as value goes.
Oh, so there you go. So I mean, that's the industry and the collectors, writing out what the value should be at.
And I can. It's weird because I can tell you why. Because from my point of view, the reason why is because 18 had a much higher print run than 17. Because 18 was when they started the Doomsday storyline,
right?
Officially, and then 17 was just that. It started earlier than 18, but it was just being like, here's a story note, here's a seed, here's a seed, and it ended with them showing Doomsday in one panel at the end, and so DC didn't publish as many of them. And nobody realized for a long time that, this guy who killed Superman actually first appears in the issue before the one everybody thought was the first appearance. So it wasn't until a couple years later, after people were collecting that issue.
It took them a couple of years. I mean, I'm sure the hardcore collectors already knew. They're like, no, 17.
Yeah, but still, people. I mean, collectors and investors are two different breeds, man.
Yeah, well, investors buy to resell.
Yeah,
and they're generally the people that open up comic book stores and everything else. I think all investors can be collectors. I'm not too sure all collectors can be investors, though. Yeah,
I agree. It's not back and forth. But you should check your Facebook messages.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, did you send me a freaking picture? I haven't even looked yet. Thanks, man. That's great.
I told you I was sending it to you.
That one's getting tweeted out. I hope you know that.
Go ahead. That's me. That's a picture of me from 7 years ago when I was skinnier.
Oh yeah, you do look a lot different. Why do you always have this weird look on your face?
I don't know, because I make weird faces.
All your pictures. I was looking at your Facebook page the other day because I was reading. You posted. I can't remember why I was looking at something, and I was noticing all your pictures. You have this weird look on your face, I don't want to say gay look, but it's kind of a gay look.
Thanks. I'm a little effeminate, all right? It's fine. I make faces when I take pictures because
but we did this picture where we were back to back for when Kaylee took that picture, and I have this stupid look on my face, and you're all stern and pissed off looking on your face to me, and then I'm like, what the hell, man?
So to be fair, for that picture, I remember that picture because that whole day I had a huge headache. And so
that picture, what it was?
And I was like, smile for the camera. I have a headache. Yeah.
That's funny.
But no, I make faces. I always make faces when I take pictures because I don't know. I always have. I don't like the way I smile, so I make silly faces. That's what I've always done.
Okay. So that's pretty funny though. Okay. Yeah. So let's create our rules of a first appearance.
I would say the first time that character appears in a comic book and has any kind of interaction.
No. Let's just do it one by one. What's the first rule? One, their name has to be given, right? Would you agree with that?
Well,
their name has to be given in the book. Come on. How do you know it's Wolverine if it doesn't say Wolverine?
Well, it depends.
Because at that point, it could be a copycat.
Okay, let's talk this out then. Let's say, example. Let's say Wolverine, a character, shows up in the last 5 pages of a book, but they don't say his name. But he talks to people. He interacts. He's part of the story, but his name is never said because his name's a mystery or whatever. Because maybe they don't know his name. He's not telling it. And then the next issue, he says, "I'm Wolverine."
Okay.
What do you count as first
Yeah,
appearance?
but that's so fucking lame, though, dude.
But it
because,
happens.
like,
I guarantee you, there's characters where their
I know
first
it
appearance they don't
happens,
say their
but
name.
that's a shitty writer, man, that does that shit to people.
I wouldn't say that's not a shitty writer because you could easily have.
Just for my argument, it's a shitty writer.
No, it's not. No, I just disagree because you can tell very good stories where you don't know who the character is.
Dude. I 100% agree with you. I just didn't think of that part. I 100% agree with you. I'm just joking. Okay, so what's the first rule? What's the very first rule?
Are they in the comic book?
Okay, they have
Easy
to be
one.
in the comic book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, dropping their name shouldn't count. Like, say, oh, I know my buddy Wolverine, but if he doesn't appear in the comic book, that's just the first time he's mentioned, not his first appearance.
Okay, what about number 2? Do they have to do an action that is in line with their character? An actionable action. An actionable action that's in line with their character.
Well, I would say if they're
It's a hard question to answer.
It is, because I would say, I mean, let's say their first appearance is them sitting at a bar talking to somebody, but they're usually out, but in later appearances they're always fighting. It's
right.
questionable because they're there, they're interacting and they're talking, but they're not out fighting. I would say that the second rule should be they have to be some part of the story. They have to have some interaction with the story, and so whether that's a talking part or whether it's a actionable part, they have to be not integral, but a part of the story that's being told. Either they talk to somebody or they interact with somebody in some way.
Okay. Do they have to be in costume, or at least, do they have to be in costume?
I would say no, because I would say because you can technically have, first appearance of Logan, first appearance of Wolverine in costume, because that technically it's two different things, because when you're out of costume. So
far, the only rule we have is they have to be in the book.
Yeah.
Okay. But what about like the whole katana discussion? You don't even know what she looks like. At least, okay, if we're not going to say that they don't have to be in costume, they can't be using undercover premises, because that's not fair. You can't tell if that's who they are.
Well, I would say, so let me amend that real quick. And I agree with you to an extent, because I also want to say to anybody listening that knows for a fact Katana's first appearance, I'm only guessing on that one. We're just going to go on and assume that's the way it is.
We're using it it's a theoretical argument. Right. It's an example. So, it could be any character. It could be Batman for all we care.
Right. Here's my condition on that is if they're in issue 200 and they're incognito the whole issue and there's no tells to who they really are. No, that's not their first appearance. Their first appearance would be the one they actually show up in. However,
there should never be any tell because they're a brand new character.
Well, no. But there could be tells though, because if they're in the issue and they're the narrator of the story, or they're narrating a portion of the story, that character is, and they say their name, or they say something that, my sword steals the souls of the people I kill, or something that's about that character. Yeah. Then I would argue that would be their first appearance, even though she was incognito for the whole issue.
But she's identified herself at that point.
She identified something about herself, not necessarily herself.
Well, right? Let's just say she's identified herself at that point. Yeah. Whether it's about her actions, because that would be an actionable action that Katana does with her sword, or she has said her name, right?
Yeah.
Or, well, there you go. She has identified herself in some way.
Yeah. I would say it would be the issue, whatever she identified herself, or her actions spoke louder than words. So
she has to be in the book. They have to be identified in some way.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Even though, but that, because that precludes the whole thing of they haven't said their name in 4 issues and then all of a sudden they have identified themselves. But we're saying that it doesn't have to be by name to identify. It can be done by action, or it can be done by the fact that as that character progresses, that is who it is.
Right. And, it depends on, see, I'm finding ways to argue myself right now. So,
well, don't overthink it, because we're just trying to come up with a way to say, if we want to do overthink
things.
Yeah, well, I know, but I mean, we're not going to come up with a definitive list, because you've argued every single point.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying, because to me, I would say, say they just showed, I think you had it right when they said they showed Logan for 4 issues and it was just Logan, right? Then he got into his costume and identified himself as Wolverine. Well, then the first appearance of Logan, then you had the first appearance of Logan as the Wolverine.
Right. Yeah.
I would agree with.
Yeah, it's like the Robin thing. Essentially, you have multiple first appearances of that character.
Well, because you have Jason Todd, but
characters.
is Jason Todd in every 9 of those issues before he becomes Robin, or is he introduced as Jason Todd in one issue, and then 9 issues later he comes back as Robin?
I think he's interlaced throughout. He's not in all 9, but he's in several of them.
He's in an arc that goes over those whole 9.
Yeah,
let's put it that way. Yeah, and then but Jason Todd does have a cool background or history.
Yeah,
he does have a cool history because he does get murdered by the Joker.
Right,
and he was dead for a long time,
20 years or so. Yeah,
yeah, and then they bring him back as a Red Hood, which I think is genius. The way to bring him back. I thought it was great, and then the Red Hood character is a fun character.
I like the Red people. Some people hate it. No, leave him dead. I like the Red Hood, honestly.
Well, I think the people that want him dead are the ones that maybe were a part of the whole that were collecting back in the late 80s when they did that storyline.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. But yeah, I think for me is are they in the issue? Then that's their first appearance. Like whether it's a cameo first appearance or not, that's their first appearance. If they're in the issue, I
don't like the whole concept of a cameo. I don't like that word when it comes to a first appearance of a comic book character. This isn't like, it's not like a cameo is Wolverine's already been introduced. He's a popular character and he shows up in Spider-Man for an issue. That's a cameo.
What's up, Spidey? I'm just passing through.
Yeah. That's a cameo.
Yeah.
I agree. This whole cameo first appearance. No, man, it's his first appearance. There is no such, because you can't have a cameo when you've never been introduced before.
Right. That's what I always thought. Growing up, I always thought the whole cameo. I'm like, what do you mean cameo? Oh, that means they're only on one panel. I'm like, but they're still in the book. I mean, what does it matter?
Yeah, they're in the book. Yeah. I'm going to contend. I'm going to get Wolverine 180, and then I'm going to argue the fuck out of it that that's his first appearance.
Oh, it should. I think I will say forever that's his first appearance. Forever.
Yeah.
Now, you can say his first cover appearance is 181, and that's why it's worth more, and fine, I'll agree with that, but his first appearance is 180. Yeah, all day long. Another a fun one to kind of like argue against all of our points is Jane Foster, Thor, and Spider-Gwen, which Jane Foster, Thor first appeared in, I think it was Uncanny Avengers, or, well, I mean, if you count that old What If story, but it was like Uncanny Avengers 22 or something like that. She became Thor in that. I mean, because you can't really count the What If story, right? I mean,
no, I thought that's what you were going to say.
No. That's, I mean,
you can't count the What If. I mean, that What If skyrocketed in value.
Although Spider-Girl's first appearance is What If 103. So the first time Mayday Parker, Spider-Girl appeared was in What If number 103, and then she got her own series out of that.
Because it sold so well.
Yeah, because it was very popular. She was popular in it. So her first appearance, but I mean, that's taking the idea from the What If and then giving it its own character outside of the What If. The whole Jane Foster Thor thing is
30 years later.
Oh yeah, she appeared way back here. It's her first appearance. Well, whatever.
I seriously doubt Jason Aaron read all of the What Ifs and said, "I'm going to do that."
Right. But anyways, and then Spider-Gwen first appeared in Edge of Spider-Verse number 2. However, if you bought a copy of Hawkeye and Deadpool number 0. I know you have it. I told you to buy it.
I know. I was going to say that.
Both of them appear in that book. They don't say anything.
But they don't say anything.
They're you just see them walk by in the background. But they're both.
It doesn't even make sense.
But they're both in full costume. Full costume. You see a full body shot, full costume of both those characters in that book. It has nothing to do with the story, and they don't interact at all. But they're both in full costume.
Yeah, but I don't think they consider that their first appearance. I don't if you look it up, no one says that's their first appearance, even though theoretically, I guess someone could argue it in some ways, but I would say it's not. Based on the definitions that we put forth, there are 2 rules, and I think 2 rules is fine, right? Yeah. One is you have to be in the book. They get that. 2, they have to identify themselves as that in some form or fashion, which they don't do.
So what if you have a character that just shows up in the background of 100 books, never does anything, but just in the background panel? Does that character ever have a first appearance?
Genius. Just pick one.
Right? Any of them, all of them. But what's funny is we say that doesn't count as a first appearance, and I lean to agree and disagree at the same time with that one for my own reasons. However,
I totally get it. If I own the book, so if it goes up in weight, someone was, that's their first appearance, I'm going to agree.
Sure it is. Yeah, buy it from me.
Yeah, sure.
However, people consider Spawn's first appearance to be a pinup in Malibu Sun number 13. However, there's no story. It's just an article. It's an article about Spawn. You see what I'm saying?
Well, the first appearance, but the first appearance of Hellboy is not Next Men 23. It's as he gets the Italian Comic Con on their program or whatever.
Actually, it was multiple. It was Next Men 21 is his first like actual comic.
Yeah, Next Men 21.
Comics.
I said 23,
And
but whatever.
San Diego Comic Con Comics number 2 predates that, and then Dime Press number 4 predates that.
Maybe I was thinking San Diego. I thought it was an Italian one.
Yeah, so Dime Press came out March 93.
Italian.
San Diego came out August 93. Next Men 21 came out December 93.
You know what it comes down to it, though? I still think that our two rules of what constitutes a first appearance is pretty good. Okay?
Yeah.
I think that you can use that as an argument. One, they're in the book. Two, they are identified as that character in some way, form, or fashion, be it by an action, be it by the name, be it by whatever it is. You know what I mean? That you can later identify them as that. I think that's a great way of thinking it, because I don't think an article talking about a character that Todd McFarlane is creating should count as a first appearance.
I don't either. I think I actually happen to have a couple of those comics. I was very happy that I was able to trade. I sold one for like $120, and then I traded my other one for about a 2.0, 2.5 copy of Avengers 4, the first Captain America, the first Silver Age Captain America. So I was happy with that.
Yeah. Well,
like,
you can be happy
someone
with
was
it.
like, I have to have the first appearance of Spawn. I was like, well, you can have this whatever. It's a picture of him in it. That's all it is.
Yeah. I just think that kind of stuff is ridiculous. It's not even a comic book.
Yeah, but now I have an Avengers 4, the first Silver Age Captain America.
That could be a third rule. It has to be a comic book.
Yeah.
Or a comic book magazine.
Well, and here's the thing too. I can go all day on this. Harley Quinn, first appearance.
Yeah.
What is her first appearance?
Batman Adventures 12.
Are you sure?
No, but that's what is considered her first appearance.
So it's a first appearance. It's her first appearance on a comic book. Her first appearance in DC continuity is Batman Harley Quinn storyline, right? Her first appearance in comic book format is the Batman Adventures coloring book, which came out a couple months before Batman Adventures 12, but it's a coloring book. However, it's still comic book format and done like a comic book with I mean, it's all like coloring stuff. But before that, there was a kids book that came out called Almost Got Him, with a story from this TV show called Almost Got Him, where Harley Quinn actually captures Batman and Joker gets mad and makes her release him because he's mad that she did what he couldn't do. And it's a little one of those like square kids books, and it came out before that.
Yeah.
And it's technically in comic book form as you read it, but not a comic book formatted book as far as size goes. It's a little square book.
Right.
So is that her first appearance, or is Batman 12, or is the coloring book, or is the Batman Harley Quinn book? Well, it sounds like
what you said is Almost Got Him should be considered her first appearance.
It should be, and by some it is. However, people say Batman 12 is their first appearance in a comic book series, and I mean it gets very.
Yeah, it gets very. I mean, that's legitimate too, though, right? If it's a one shot, if it's a comic book series, I think that should have some weight on it. Or if it's a one shot, then is it a one shot in the DC continuity? You know,
it's
I think that kind of stuff could have some weight to it, and why you wouldn't consider the coloring book or the kids book before that.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some legitimacy to that. I mean, I kind of get that.
You can argue it both ways, man. The way it really comes down to is I see if you change the word first appearance to a milestone book, then all of them count because it's a milestone of the character, right? Yeah. Their first appearance should always be their first time they appeared in a comic book and were part of a story. That should be their first appearance. Everything else could be, Harley Quinn's first appearance in a comic book, Harley Quinn's first appearance in DCEU, or the DCU, I mean, Harley Quinn's first appearance in a printed format, I mean, or
caveats.
Whatever. Caveats to it, but her first appearance or any first appearance should be the first time they were in a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's it. That's the key right there. The first time they were in a story, because you can appear in a comic book but not be in the story, right? Like if you're just like Malibu Sun number 13, it's Spawn appears in that book, but he's not in a story, so it's not his first appearance as a character. So his first appearance would be whatever. I guess Spawn 1, I think it's the first time he actually had a story going. But the first appearance should be, the first time that they're in a story.
I think we've made some good headways on what constitutes a first appearance. I really do.
And I really hope people argue with us in the comments or argue us on Twitter about this. Like, no, you're wrong.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's all opinion based anyways. And I think our rules of action has come up pretty good. One, they have to be in the book. Two, they have to identify themselves in some actionable or naming kind of way. Or something has to happen that identifies them as who they are.
Yeah, I agree.
And three, are they in it? And it has to be in a story.
Yeah.
I think you hit those three things,
go.
that constitutes your first appearance, and there you go.
And everything else is caveats.
Yeah, everything else with caveats. That's right.
There we
go.
That's right. And that's a show.
And that's a show. Okay, guys. Look at that. We made it through this. This was a fun episode. I really enjoyed this
bleeding.
one.
We're still alive. We're good.
No one died. No one. Yeah. Now you too can go out and argue till you're blue in your face on what constitutes a first appearance. But remember, we are on Facebook. We have our own website, spoilercountrypod.com. Check it out. It's pretty cool. We're on Twitter. That's where we're the most active in communication. So you can always tweet at us and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Oh, yeah. We love Twitter. We're on that every day.
That's right. And you can listen to us just about everywhere that we can get onto. So we're on Google Play. We're on iTunes. And remember, on iTunes, 5 stars review, guys. Come on.
If you want to leave comments on the show, you can comment on SoundCloud. You can comment like in a specific part of the show. Like say you want to comment when I say that's bullshit, Kenric, you can find that part of the episode and comment right there and talk about whatever you want.
Yep. And you can just say, Johnny, you're being a bully.
Yeah. So, usually.
We're on TuneIn and we're on Player FM and we're on Stitcher.
We're everywhere.
And
everywhere.
Yeah, we're in a lot of places. If we're not someplace and we should be there, let us know. We'll try to get there as soon as we can.
You can email us at spoilercountry@gmail.com. If you would like to help out the show and support us in any way, you can do so in 2 places right now. You can do it either at patreon.com/spoilercountry and give us $1 a month, 50 cents a month, whatever you want to do. There's some great rewards up there. Or in the description of the show, there's an Amazon affiliate link. You just click on that link, go buy some shit on Amazon, and we get a kickback from it. That's all you got to do.
That's right. And you know what? Kevin Joseph of Tart gives us $2 a month.
Right.
Through Patreon. So Kevin, dude, we love you, buddy.
Yes.
And we really, really appreciate because you always talk about us when you have a chance, and we really appreciate you.
He's become a great friend of the show, I think.
Yeah.
And of ours.
There you go. That's right. That's right. Friend of ours and of the show, not just the show. Yeah. There you go, guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening.
Peace.